Hello teacher, my name is Phan Marina. In the namely, I'm in number 20. I'm taking course COM101 interpersonal communication in weekend class. And my topic is from chapter 7, listening effectively. And here is my content. Number 1, challenges to effective listening. Number 2, the active listening process. And number 3, digital listening skill. And the last one is memory. Now we move to challenges to effective listening. As we know, listening is a fundamental communication activity. So how well we listen affect the quality of our conversation. And there are three challenges to effective listening. The first one is personal style of listening. More often, when we listen, we do based on our personal habit or style. And the research show that there are four styles of listening, and that most of us favor one, though some people have two, and a few can switch between all four. And the first style is a relational listening style, which means that when we listen to a message, we need to focus on what it tells us about our conversational partner and their feeling. For example, we know Thai about our partner that they are happy or upset about the message that they sending to us. And the second style is analytical listening style. That means we listen to gather information and tend to think carefully about what we hear. The third style is about the transactional listening style. It is involved wanting speaker to remain on task and get to the point. Transactional listener dislike listening to speaker who take too long to express about their feeling or who they view as going up on tangent. And the last style is critical listening style. That it is focused a lot of attention um, on the accuracy and consistency of the speaker message. The listener evaluate closely and assess how often speaker make errors or say things that don't fit together. The second challenge to effective listening is listening apprehension. It is the anxiety that we feel about listening that interferes with our ability to be effective listener. And the reason for listening apprehension is anxiety make it more difficult for us to focus on what we are hearing. And the last challenge is dual process in listening. It is the approach to process the information that is still automatic or conscious. And passive listening is the effortless, thoughtless, and habitual process of receiving the message we hear. And passive listening is the default setting of our listening behavior. But by contrast, active listening is a fundamental communication skill that require mindfulness and practice. And that's all for challenge to effective listening. Now we go to active listening process. The active listening process includes five steps. They are attending, understanding, remembering, critically evaluating, and responding to the message we receive. The first one is attending. The active listening begins with attending. The process of willfully staying through pursue selected sounds that are being heard. Attending is especially challenging for people with transactional listening style or with high listening apprehension, but all of us can benefit from the following guideline. Here is the guideline to improve attending. The first one is get physically and mentally ready to attend. It means that to get ready to attend, the good listener need to uh, prepare physically and mentally. That physically uh, is a good listener can create environment that conducive to listening and they adopt a listening posture. And number two, make the shift from speaker to listener a complete one. In a conversation, you are called on to quickly with back and forth from being a speaker to be a listener. And we passively listen when we hear what we are going to say as soon as we have a chance rather than focus on our partner is saying. And number three is stay tuned in. Active listener cultivate the habit of waiting for the speaker to finish before searching their mental script or library. And that's all for um, attending. Now we move to understanding. Understanding is the process of accuracy, uh, accurately decoding a message so you comprehend the semantic, uh, pragmatic, and socio-linguistic meaning of a message. And here is the guideline to improve understanding. The first one is identify the speaker purpose and key point. So we need to know about the purpose of the topic, and one more, we need to understand the meaning of the key point that they want to show us. Number two, interpret nonverbal cue, which means understand nonverbal behavior. In here, to understand what a speaker means, you need to understand not only what it said verbally, but we also need nonverbal behavior that accompany what it said too. And number three, um, ask clarifying question. The skill of asking a clarifying question provide an easy way to better understanding what a speaker is saying. And one more thing, it can help you to remove uncertainty from the information that we already received. And number four, um, paraphrase what you hear. A paraphrase is an attempt to verify your understanding of a message by putting it into your own words and sharing it with the speaker. And there are two types of paraphrase. The first one is content paraphrase, which is convey your understanding of the denoting meaning of a verbal message. And one more is a feeling paraphrase. It is convey your understanding of the emotional meaning and behind a speaker verbal mistake. And um, one more step is about remembering. Remembering is the process of moving information from short-term memory to long-term memory. And here is the guideline to help you improve your remembering. Number one, repeat what was said. So repetition, saying something two, three, or even four. You need to repeat it again and again. So it make you remember longer. And number two, create mnemonic. A mnemonic device is a learning technique that associate a special word or short statement with new and longer information. And number three, take note. Take note can provide a written record. So when you forget, you can take it to look and then you can remember it. And uh, one more is about critically evaluating. Critically evaluating is the process of determining how truthfully and authentic or believable that you judge the message and the speaker to be. And here is the guideline to improve critical evaluating. The first one is separate fake from inference. Fake as statement whose accuracy can be verified or proven. Inference are the claim or assumption that based on the fake reason. And number two, look for information that we need to encourage the speaker. And one more, we can be challenging the information. And here is the last step to active listening process. It is responding. It is the process of providing feedback to your partner mistake. And here is the guideline to improve responding. The first one, provide back channel cue. One way to indicate that you are listening to the message is to provide back channel cue. Verbal and non-verbal signal that indicate you are listening and attempting to understand the message. Number two, reply only when the message is complete. Respond to a message when the speaker is have finished, so you do not interrupt while they are speaking. And number three, respond to the previous message before changing the subject. A rap topic change inappropriate because they don't acknowledge what your partner has said, and it is important to acknowledge your partner message before changing the topic. And that's all for the process of active listening. And now we move to digital listening skill. As communication technology improve, sending message become easier. Yet, effectively dealing with all of the various messages that will still present formidable challenge. And being an effective digital listener require digital communication literacy and the ability to critically attend to, analyze, evaluate, and express digital mistakes. Some of the problem and the solution to take a unique challenge we face when it comes to digital listening. The first one is attending to and understanding digital mistakes. Digital communication technology affect what we pay attention to and what we ignore. So um, it provides us the benefit if we use it in the right way, and sometimes it also brings us the disadvantage too, and it is depend on our using. And one more, you can improve both your digital and face-to-face interaction by attending to each separately, and to have them attend and understand when you are communicating script for clarifying. And one more is about critically evaluating digital message. Being a digitally literate communicator via social media require us to be about statically evaluate the digital message that we are encounter. And that's all for digital listening skill. Now we move to summary. In summary, listening is the process of receiving, constructing meaning from, and responding to spoken or nonverbal message. And there are three primary challenges to our listening effectiveness: our personal listening style, our listening apprehension, and the dual approach that we can take to listen. And our personal style, listening style is maybe relational, analytical, transactional, or critical. And each style has advantage and disadvantage. And one more listening apprehension is the anxiety that we feel about listening that interfere with our ability to be a effective listener. And we use a dual process approach to listen most of the time when we are passive listener. Automatically process what we hear, but making little to focus on the message. And there are five steps in the active listening, like attending, understanding, remembering, um, critically evaluating, and responding. And listening skills need to be applied in the digital context as well as the face-to-face too. And that's all for my presentation. Thank you, teacher. Goodbye.